Okay, let's talk about coffee. One day you read an article saying it's basically a superfood. The very next day you see a headline claiming it's a one-way ticket to an anxiety disorder. It is, without a doubt, one of the most confusing topics in nutrition. So today we're going to cut through all that noise and get right to the science.
So let's just tackle the big question head on, right? Is that cup of coffee you have every single morning a genuine health booster, or is it a habit that's quietly working against you? Well, the answer, as you're about to see, is both really complicated and, honestly, pretty fascinating. First things first, let's address the elephant in the room. You know, the very real concerns a lot of people have about their coffee habit. And I want to be clear, it's not just in your head. There are actual medically recognized downsides to overdoing it.
Yeah, you see that right. The link between caffeine and anxiety isn't just a hunch, it's clinically recognized. So how does this work? Well, caffeine's main job is to block a brain chemical called adenosine, which is what makes you feel tired. When that happens, your body's response is to release adrenaline. In small doses, this feels great. You feel alert, you're on your game. But in high doses, that exact same mechanism can tip you right over the edge into nervousness and, yes, full-blown anxiety.
And really, that's just the start. When you push past your own personal limit, it can set off this whole cascade of other effects. We're talking about everything from the classic jitters and, of course, terrible sleep, to digestive problems, and even that dreaded rebound fatigue, where you end up feeling even more tired the next day. And for some people, it can even lead to dependency.
So is there an official limit? Well, according to the FDA, the generally accepted number is 400 milligrams of caffeine a day for most healthy adults. That's roughly what you'd get in about 4 cups of brewed coffee. But, and this is a big but, you have to remember your personal genetics play a huge role here. Your ideal limit could be way different.
Okay, but hold on. If that was the entire story, there's no way coffee would be this popular, right? So let's flip the coin and look at the other side, where a massive body of research points in the complete opposite direction, suggesting that coffee might actually help you live longer. Now, this number is pretty staggering when you think about it. Multiple huge studies have found that for each daily cup of coffee you drink, there's an associated 3 to 4% lower risk of total mortality. That is a trend so significant that researchers absolutely cannot ignore it. And here's the real plot twist. We can't give caffeine all the credit, or for that matter, all the blame. The fact that decaf coffee shows similar protective benefits tells us there is so much more going on inside that bean. Coffee is packed with hundreds of other compounds, like really powerful antioxidants and anti-inflammatories, and they're the ones doing a lot of the heavy lifting. To really get a handle on these benefits, let's zoom in on one organ in particular where coffee's protective powers are incredibly well documented: your liver. I mean, this quote from a major NIH study just says it all. Drinking coffee regularly is linked to a dramatically lower risk of serious liver conditions, like scarring, which is called fibrosis, cirrhosis, and even liver cancer. And this is true even for people who are already at a high risk for liver disease. It's truly amazing. So how on earth does it do all that? Well, it seems like the compounds in coffee are fighting on multiple fronts at once. They help bring key liver enzymes back to normal levels. They actively fight the formation of scar tissue. They tamp down inflammation, and they act like a strong antioxidant shield, protecting your liver from damage. All right, let's pivot from the liver and talk about the heart. For so many years, people were worried that coffee was bad for your cardiovascular health. But you know what? Modern research has painted a much more positive, though I'll admit, a more nuanced picture.
Yeah, far from being a risk factor, long-term, moderate coffee drinking is now associated with a lower risk of developing some major heart issues, including hypertension and even heart failure. The data we have now consistently shows that coffee drinkers, on average, have better outcomes in these areas than people who don't drink coffee at all.
And this brings us to a really cool concept you see in the research, the J-shaped curve. Basically, it shows that the lowest risk for heart disease isn't at 0 cups of coffee. The risk actually goes down with 1, 2, or 3 cups a day, and only starts to creep back up again if you're a very heavy consumer. It suggests that a little bit on a regular basis might be better than none at all. For your heart, moderation is absolutely key.
So we have this clear conflict, right? Coffee can cause anxiety and mess with your sleep, but it can also protect your liver and your heart. How do we make sense of this? Well, the answer really lies in the context. It's about how much you drink, and, just as important, how you make it.
When you look at a huge range of studies, the sweet spot for health benefits seems to land right in this moderate intake zone, somewhere around 3 to 5 cups per day. This seems to be the window where you get the most protective effects, with a much lower chance of running into those negative side effects that pop up at higher doses. And here is a tip that most people completely miss. The way you brew your coffee matters. A lot. Unfiltered coffee, like what you get from a French press or Turkish coffee, has these oily compounds called diterpenes, and these can actually raise your LDL or bad cholesterol. But a simple paper filter, like in a regular drip coffee machine, grabs and removes almost all of them. It's one tiny step that can make a huge difference for your heart health over time.
So, what's the big takeaway here? The crucial point is, there's no single right answer for everybody. The best amount of coffee, the right time of day to drink it, the best way to make it, it all comes down to your personal genetics, your overall health, and just how sensitive you are to caffeine. At the end of the day, listening to your body is the most important part of this whole equation. Ultimately, you can see that coffee isn't some simple good or bad thing. It's not a magic potion, and it's not a poison. It's a complex tool, a beverage filled with powerful compounds that can be used for incredible benefit or for potential harm. The science gives us the user manual. The real question is, how will you use it?